Hey, what's up? It's me, Meanie Mosey, and if you're watching this video, then that means you've stumbled across a clip of my live stream of me reading One Piece chapter 1154. In this clip, I'm talking a bit about how one man's trash is another man's treasure when it comes to Luffy assembling people for his Straw Hat crew, and how that can impact other potential crewmates joining the crew. And if you're caught up, you know what I'm talking about. So if you're not caught up, click away from this video and probably go watch one of my other One Piece arc reviews. And if you are caught up, I hope you enjoy this clip. I hope it provokes some thought in you, that you leave a comment, like it if you like it, subscribe if you really like it. And yeah, I hope you enjoy, and here's the clip. I don't know what that was. In Post Marineford, we learned about how Luffy grew up on, Gray Terminal and everything. It is literally a landfill. People live there, and it is just entirely full of trash. It's just a representation of like one man's trash being another man's treasure. People go around and they scavenge and they take what they can find in order to make their homes, in order to make a living, in order to sell things, because everything that's trash, it's like it can be cherished by somebody else. And so Luffy grew up learning the value of that. So trash wasn't really even trash to him, ever. And so we see him get older, and we see him set off to go make his crew. The first person that he gets is Zoro. And Zoro is chained up in a yard, being prepared for execution, essentially. Or, I don't know, they're trying to starve him, and they never plan on letting him go anyway. So basically, he was about to be thrown out. Luffy came, he saw Zoro, he saw what the little girl did with the onigiri and how she made them for him, how they got stepped on, he ate them anyway, and he's like, this dude is not going to die here. That is going to be my right-hand man. Zoro, being trash, essentially, was someone who was cherished immediately by Luffy. Usopp in Syrup Village, hated by his village, honestly, because, I mean, he did that to himself. He was constantly lying to the village. Nobody liked him because he would give them false alarms. He wasn't, like, outright hated. He had Kaya and everything, but basically he had no future in the village. And so then Luffy, Zoro, and Nami picked him up. Sanji was viewed as trash by his own family, except that comes way after he's introduced. But we learn that he was trash, essentially, to Jerema 66. And he was thrown out, and that's essentially how he ended up on the Baratie. Luffy saw his kind actions with Gin, and that kindness is something that Judge hated. That kindness was like the ultimate weakness that Sanji could have. It was like Sanji's mother represented in him. Judge threw out Sanji because he wanted a killing machine. In the end, when they were sailing away from Whole Cake Island, Judge was calling out to Luffy, talking bad about Sanji, and Luffy's like, why do you just list your best qualities? Luffy values what Judge saw as trash within Sanji. Nami, and this doesn't really apply to her directly, the village knew what she was doing, that she was trying to save them, essentially, so they didn't hate her or anything like that. She was found. It's not like she was trash, like her whole entire island was burning and then Belmare found them, so it doesn't really apply to Nami, but we're gonna keep moving forward. Chopper was rejected by the reindeer because he wasn't a reindeer anymore, was rejected by the humans because he looked like a monster. Trash, essentially, cherished by Luffy because he thought that he was super cool for being a Dr. Reindeer. Let's see, Robin, trash from the whole world. Nobody wanted her to be alive. And by nobody, I mean the world government, because they suck. Luffy saw value in her even when she didn't see value in herself. Frankie was hated by the city. He did that on purpose. Frankie kind of grew up repurposing trash also, but there wasn't any future for Frankie within Water 7, so then Luffy picked him up. Brook, there was no future for him because he was abandoned. Not abandoned, his crew got sick and they died. And so he had to isolate himself. I mean, it's not a one-to-one for like every single crew member, but Brook was alone, and Luffy saw value in him and decided to help him live. Jinbei, this does not apply to Jinbei at all. Jinbei had it. Jinbei was good. Jinbei's good to go. And then this last one, Loki, is yet another example of how Luffy takes the people that others reject and puts them on his crew. So the first thing that happened to Loki when he was born was that he was thrown down into the underworld. And so if you read your Percy Jackson growing up like I did, you realize that this sounds like the birth of Hephaestus. Hera was jealous that Zeus gave birth to Athena by himself, and then she gave birth to Hephaestus by herself, and then when he came out, I think he had like a club foot or something like that, and he was deformed. and so she threw him down from Mount Olympus. I thought that there were a lot of parallels with that. In the last chapter, they talked about how Elbaf was blessed like a few times, and then in that same chapter they said that Elbaf was cursed because of Loki. Pretty much Estrid was claiming misfortune on the country because of Loki. In doing that, she neglected Loki and turned him into a monster of a child who does not know love and began to terrorize others. Like, she manifested it essentially just by saying over and over again that he's a curse upon the country. Then he began to curse the country himself with his actions. But you do also have the whole famine and everything that went on. You can't really explain like how that happened, but I mean, these things do happen just like as a regular like course of life type thing. It doesn't necessarily mean that the country's cursed. But instead, they all just blamed it on Loki. And then Loki's like, okay, if you're going to put the blame on me, if you're going to hate me anyway, then I might as well hate you guys too. Everything is lining up for Loki to end up being on the crew because he fits the criteria. We saw him invite Loki to join the crew. Everybody saw it. He rejected it, which is kind of typical. But I'm saying, like, I believe that it is a legitimate invitation. Like, I don't care if it's like, I just want to see him fight, or I don't care if it's like, you're a temporary crew member, or I don't care if it's like, he's not going to fit on the ship. I don't care about that. He has no future on Elbaf whenever they finish doing whatever they're doing. I don't know where those elders are. I don't think they're going to reinstate him as king, especially when the country has been hating him for so long. If the country does end up liking him and wanting him to be king, gee, I hope they don't. Not that I hope they don't like him, but like, I hope he's not going to stay and rule over Elbaf. I think what needs to happen is that Hyrule needs to rule over Elbaf, and that will really represent them kind of getting rid of their ancient giant criteria, because who knows where those dudes are, the Yorosei or anything. But I think that final rung of the acceptance ladder that Elbaf needs to climb is by instating a king that does not have ancient giant blood. And I think that's what Hyrule needs to do, and then Loki can go off and sail on the Sunny. But yeah, Loki fits all the criteria to be a Straw Hat crew member. He does not want to be on the ship, check. He was rejected by everyone since he was born, check. Yeah, and I'd be really interested in seeing the dynamic that he has with the rest of the crew, because he'd honestly be the strongest crew member. I don't know if he's stronger than Luffy. I mean, the only reason why Luffy would be stronger than Loki is because plot. Loki, Luffy, Zoro, Jinbei, then Sanji's down to number 5. Poor boy. Some crazy stuff. Okay, I'm done. That's probably it now. Okay, bye. Bye.